Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. Today is Memorial Day Monday, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, for the first time in program history, are your 2023 national champions of the world. We just wrapped up an incredible week at championship weekend down at Lincoln Financial Field. And I'll tell you what an incredible weekend for you, Doogs. Big time weekend for you. You officiate your sister's wedding. You get Derek White at the buzzer to push for a game 7 in the Celtics series. And we're recording this right now, right before Celtics game 7. And your Notre Dame Fighting Irish are national champs. So big 72 hours for you. I mean, obviously this is what it's all about right here. Massive weekend for Notre Dame, big weekend for Salisbury, Lenoir-Rhyne, Northwestern on the girls' end, but most importantly, massive weekend for Brother Doogs.
And the fact that Dayton won a national title in the club lacrosse, everything's coming up Dukes. Like, I'm starting to talk myself into like Dayton potentially winning the national championship next year in basketball. But yeah, when you're listening to this, the Celtics just completed a 3-0 comeback. They covered the 7.5 point spread, and Dukes is living his best life. But yeah, give it up for Notre Dame. I mean, was that the best Final Four just in general? I know because I wasn't on the episode with Dan last time, but that was the best Final Four I think of my lifetime. I was trying to think of a year that could compete with it. Every single game, but the first two went to overtime. This had the comeback. It had the storyline. What a weekend for lacrosse in general.
Yeah, like there have certainly been better championship games. And these two teams have provided some of those better championship games. But yeah, on a whole, I mean, the first 2 days of the tournament were incredible. I mean, back-to-back overtime games. Obviously, the one, a lot of controversy in that one, which, listen, I feel awful for Penn State. I feel so bad for those seniors who their career ends with that goal. At the end of the day, the controversy, as far as like content, right? As far as what we do here,
right.
It was pure Darren Rovell. Like, I feel terrible for Penn State, but it was tremendous content.
This is tremendous content, and like the fact that we had that in a Final Four setting, where a team like Duke goes to their 75th championship game, and a school like Penn State doesn't get to the championship, like, and there's that controversial moment. Like, yes, it sucks, but now there's more dialogue for the sport. There's controversy in the sport. And yeah, I personally don't give a fuck. Like, controversy is good. Dialogue is good. And unfortunately, Penn State was on the wrong side of this, and that sucks. But overall, it was a great weekend for the sport. And I thought Tambroni handled it very well. I also thought Danowski handled it well, with Danowski saying like, yeah, like, do you think we should have reviews? And he's like, yeah, but not today. Like, that was so awesome. But yeah, ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. Duke. And yeah, your point about the championship game. Just delving into this. I guess we'll just talk about this because I'm getting the days mixed up with the Final Four. But with the championship game, that was one of the most physical games I've ever watched. So yeah, when it wasn't like the fact that it had a comeback, it was physical. There were big hits. You had Brennan O'Neill shut down in the first half because of great defense. Brennan O'Neill coming alive a little bit in the second half, just that Duke offense to get the second half going. And then Notre Dame just, with about 4 minutes to go, kind of pulled away. And I mean, if I have been wrong about Notre Dame a lot. I've been wrong about a lot in this podcast, Jordie. I have never felt so vindicated in my life in the lacrosse world than Liam Entman showing up today and putting his nuts out for the world. Nuts out. I mean, the best college goalie I have ever seen. Ever. No, the argument's over.
I'm right there with you. I mean, this was a performance of a lifetime, and not necessarily like a performance of a lifetime. Like, this is a performance that Liam Entman has like all the time. But the fact that, he was able to deliver on this stage, 18 saves on the day, and like each save just felt a little bigger than the last, probably because it was like, I mean, just I mean, what a performance out of Liam Entman. And yeah, I mean, what a performance out of that defense as a whole. We'll get into it a little bit more. Like, I thought the Duke's defense also played great. Like, just so physical, so dominant. Most of that first half, they were playing great defense. They ended up going into halftime with a score of 6-1. But that's because, like, a lot of those goals came off of broken plays, and just because Notre Dame was able to get the ball off the ground and then put it in the back of the net. But like, Duke's defense was playing incredible, but Notre Dame's defense, yeah, shout out to Chris Fake. I mean, there have been plenty of times where I've gone back and forth on how I feel about Chris Fake. I wasn't keen about him against Shelley in the regular season. Right. But when he goes up against, and I think that Brennan O'Neill is just a different matchup for him. I think that, Shelley is less physical. He's not going to try to kind of get himself into you and then get through you to get to the net. He's more just dissecting everything else around you. So I think, when it comes to guarding a guy like a Brennan O'Neill who's going to try to bully you, yeah, I thought that Chris Fake proved, why he's one of the best at that position for it. So, yeah, I mean, between shutting down, Brennan O'Neill, making life hell for him, between any time that Duke was able to actually get shots that Entenmann was just gobbling them up. And then I think another big thing that really hurt Duke's offense in this game, aside from the third quarter, it was a physical game, but then you get the two-minute penalties. So we get the Kenny Brower hit on Chris Kavanaugh, which, holy fuck, what a hit. If I were a Notre Dame fan, I'd be screaming for him to get ejected. I thought like, as far as someone who would like to see the sport of lacrosse kind of just keep getting talked about and get people interested, they think it was a good hit for the sport.
I'm happy it came against a Kavanaugh, because anybody else that's against,
anybody else is dead. Anybody else is dead, but it's a Kavanaugh, and Kavanaughs don't give a shit. Chris Kavanaugh might not know what day it is, but it doesn't matter because he's still going to get his. But I think, though, you had two of those, and Notre Dame, they weren't able to score on the 2-minute non-releasable man up from the Kenny Brower hit. But either way, that's 2 minutes that the ball's not in Brennan O'Neill's stick. It's 2 minutes that Andrew McAdory isn't getting himself involved with this offense, which he really wasn't involved much at all this entire weekend. He was held 0 goals this entire weekend and just 2 assists, 1 in each game. So I think it was a physical game, but having, those big 4 minutes of penalties just never really let Duke's offense get into any sort of rhythm, aside from, when they were starting to figure it out in that third quarter.
Too many meatheads. Duke had too many meatheads. That's like the first thing I thought of. It seemed like I used to have this take people playing too hard. Duke was hitting guys too much. And I don't know if you saw it, because Patty Cav actually laid out Wilson Stevenson?
The little man ball situation. It was in the first half, but yeah. So I mean, Wilson Stevenson going up on a ground ball against Pat Cav and Chris Cav. You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose that battle 11 times out of 10. Pat Cav lays the body. Chris Cav picks up the ground ball. I mean, that's a youth coach's fucking wet dream right there.
Yeah, I want to know if they said man ball. That would be. That would be the key right there. Because I feel like if he said man, that gave him a little extra strength, plus 50. So maybe that set him over the edge a little bit. But that was one of the most physical lacrosse games I've ever watched. Will Helm also played very good, in my opinion. I thought Will Lynch at the faceoff X. This was a classic. I mean, people were talking. This was classic. People need to know about the storyline Chaminade St. Anthony's, because Duke had a lot of St. Anthony's guys in those 2 grades. Chaminade had a lot of the Notre Dame had a lot of the Chaminade guys. Liam Entman might own Brennan O'Neill for good. Might have to just call him daddy. And I don't know how many goalies out there can say that, I'm Brennan O'Neill's daddy. And again, not in the sense that Brennan O'Neill has probably scored on him hundreds of times or whatnot. But when it comes to who wins and who loses, I would like to see their head-to-head career record, because I feel like over the past couple of years, when they have matched up with each other, I have said that Liam Mensman wins this matchup, and I feel like I've been pretty consistently right on that. So
I think when it comes time for both of these guys to make the jump to the PLL, we're going to need to make sure that they're on different teams.
Yeah.
They can play together for Team USA at the Worlds, all that they want. But when it comes to the summer, get them on different teams because the world deserves to watch that matchup 13 times this summer.
I also I just wanted to go back to something you said about Chris Fig. Yeah, you could be right and wrong in this situation. Like, yes, like I was very conflicted with Chris Fig too, because how Shelly, like, it's just we figured out Chris Fig also had like his freshman year, he's talked about as the best defender in the country, which I think you could not gonna like hate that argument if he made his best defender in the country over the last 5 years. But I think that he kind of got exposed, like he's not as good against quicker defenders. Like, how would he do against a Pat Cavanaugh type? We know what he can do against Bull Dodgers like Brendan O'Neill. So, like, I think that anyone that gives you shit for that, like, you weren't the film was out there on what type of player he was good against and what type he wasn't good against. So he played exceptionally well today against Brennan. Kind of owned him in the first matchup too. So yeah, I mean it was a great game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. Thank God though for that third quarter, for Duke making this one a little interesting because you did mention like, what was this one of the best championship weekends ever? I would say yes, but we saw if anyone watched the D2 and D3 games, if you watched the D2 game, you saw I think it was a 6-1 final. Or no, maybe it might have been a 6-0 final at the end of the first quarter in both the D2 and D3 games. Right. And the fact that this game was a 6-1 going into the first half, like those were games where, and then the D3 game, Tufts kind of came back a little bit to make it a little bit interesting. But the D2 game was just an absolute fucking shit kicking from start to finish. Mm-hmm. And anyone who kind of watched those games and then watched this one, you kind of had this little pit in your stomach, like, oh my God, like Saturday was so electric. Saturday was such an incredible day of lacrosse with back-to-back overtime games in the semifinals. Like, did we waste our entire nut on Saturday? And were we going to get 3 dick kickings from then on? So thank God though for that third quarter from Duke. So they win that quarter 6-3. And things were really starting to click for Duke there. Like they were starting to win the ground ball battle, and not to sound like every single youth coach in America, but you look at the way that this game was going. Notre Dame shit kicked Duke in ground balls in the first half, 6-1 going into halftime. And then Duke came out, started getting more of those loose balls, and all of a sudden the game started to flip a little bit. So, things were going for them. But yeah, a little too late, little too little, little too late. And, like you said, those last 4 minutes of the game, Notre Dame really came alive. Great juice goal from Quinn McCann to kind of really start that run. And not the half field one. The half field goal was sick against a 10-man ride. Nice little 60-yard bar down. Hey, how are you? Sick goal out of Philly guy. Quinn McCann. What's up?
When he split the defense.
Yeah. So when he comes down, splits the D, gets into, and then that goal, and then the celebration, just swinging a stick like a wild man to fire up that bench. That's when you could tell, all right, like Notre Dame's got their juice back, and now they're gonna kind of keep their foot in the gas here to finish this one out.
Confession: I love Quinn McCann. I love his game. I wanted Danowski just to like desperation, like stick check. I was looking for it. I was like, this is why we kind of need Tillman. I was like, I need someone to be the asshole right now. That's like, yeah, we like you guys probably gonna win, but like, let me check a stick to see if I can just do something very greasy right now.
Speaking of Tillman, I saw a lot of people pointing out the fact that Duke, a couple photos of Duke like walking out onto the field, pretty much like 50-50 on what gloves the guys were wearing. Some of them were wearing all blue, some of them were wearing whites. So Tillman was punching air and his iPad.
Yeah. The rules committee, like his wife's just like, John, why aren't you touching your food? Like, it's okay. Like, the 1 week we had running championship. John Tillman, like on Memorial Day weekend, I would love to know what he was doing. He probably didn't know what to do.
Sat in a corner, looked at the wall, didn't blink once.
Just looking at the 2 glove colors. But yeah, just a great game overall. I don't really know. I will say this: when we just Kevin Corrigan, and obviously this Notre Dame program, like I'm glad that he got over the hump. Seems like a great guy. He's got great style. He just looks like he's wearing a fishing shirt. That like little like shirt that he wears. I love that. But yeah, happy he got over the hump. New blood to blue blood. I mean, they return a lot next year too. I'm sure they're going to go into the portal, grab some more. So Notre Dame's going to be back, and they're going to be scary. Will Lynch, winner fighter, and I said this on Twitter, but 2014 you had one Kavanaugh, and he was like, "Wow, that like I had a Kavanaugh lead me to the championship. What do I need to get me a championship?" He's like, "Oh, I have to go out and get 2 Kavanaughs." Crazy. Nobody else in the country even considered grabbing both of them. But 2 Kavanaughs will win you a championship. So hats off to Notre Dame and Coach Corrigan.
Yeah, couldn't say much better than that. Yeah, incredible to watch the whole Kavanaugh scene. You saw obviously throughout the whole season, like, videos just popping up, mostly like the through X of, just talking about how much it means to these guys to be able to get it done. Not just for this 2023 team, but for, the brothers that have come through the program before, for everyone else who come through the program before. Yeah, really cool to see them, immediately after the game wrapped up. You see Chris Kavanaugh running over into the stands, jumping up into the crowd, and getting involved with his family. I would imagine that if Pat Kavanaugh had 2 functioning legs, he would have also jumped up into the crowd and done the same. He's basically been playing the entire last month of the season on just one functioning leg. Just kind of goes to show how tough these motherfuckers are, how much it means to them, how much it means to the whole program. Real happy for friend of the program, Nick Acello. He seemed to be really enjoying himself on Twitter. Real happy for a friend of the program, Ryder Garnsey.
Yeah.
Great to see him and just like how much it means to him to be able to get it done. So yeah, really cool story for Notre Dame getting it done for the first time. Listen, this Duke team, they're a wagon, studs all over the place. Would have been happy for a lot of those guys too, but to see a program get over the hump, and just, you get that, you see how much it means to, you log on to Twitter and just, you see how much it means to alumni and shit like that. So really cool moment for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Just like the natural progression and just Duke kind of owning Notre Dame in the tournament. Notre Dame having that comeback against Duke in 2014, not being able to get it done. It is really cool. And how's even like, I'm not so sure logistics wise. I didn't really figure all this out, but the fact that some of the Notre Dame alumni that are still in the PLL were able to be there for it, I thought was pretty cool by the league. I mean, they're grown men, but like the fact that they let them leave training camp to go watch the game was pretty cool.
Yeah. I saw you had Glazer there, obviously Matt Cav there.
And the PLL let Ryder coach the game, which is nice.
yeah, really good move by the PLL there. I'm trying to think there. Oh, you know what? So we asked about, what do you think that John Tillman was doing this entire weekend? Do you think that Donna watched this game?
When I say Donna was like I saw Acello say like, oh, that was a good momentum goal, like because like if that didn't count or something, like I was gonna throw beer at like the TV. Donna was probably throwing fists through the TV. And how
she was throwing like Pinot Grigio through the TV.
Yeah, just a bottle of Chris and Santa Margarita just getting smashed like a fraternity basement just with glass all over. I think that Donna was, and I don't know, you probably didn't hear the broadcast. A couple notes on the broadcast, by the way. One, during the broadcast, they were like, the Kavanaugh's like, oh, did you guys have the bracket up from last year that motivates you? He's like, oh yeah, for our team it motivated us. I know Duke didn't want to talk about it, but like, we like to talk about it. I was like, that was badass. 2, people were shitting on Quint because I was watching the game because I had to drive home from Newport. So I was watching on my phone and I turned on the broadcast a little bit, turn it off. But Quentin was saying some stuff like, Entenmann's guessing right now, Helms. I'm like, are you watching the same game? Like it took him to like the third or fourth quarter when they were talking about how historic Entenmann's performance was for him to finally be like, oh, he's been almost flawless today. It was so bizarre the shit that he was saying. I had people texting me being like, this is a great game. Like I've never like considered, like I've watched lacrosse before and I don't like it, but this game is making me like it. And they were like, but what's up with the broadcasters? They're like, why are they talking about everybody's families? Like, why are they like it was just like overall, it's crazy how much they botched the broadcast. And they didn't even like mention the Chris Kavanaugh hit. Like they weren't even trying to say like, oh wow, like that's like potentially a dirty hit or like anything. They were just like, oh yep, that was a play. Like it was just overall bizarre. Not trying to shit on it too much, but like when you have people texting me being like, what's going on with the broadcast? That's when you kind of know like something's it's not your A game.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to watch the broadcast. Obviously, being a big J in the press box and eating a shit ton of press box cookies. The one thing I will is like for me, like Entenmann, and I mentioned this kind of a little bit on Twitter, but like he just like looks so like he doesn't look great, right? It just like his whole look, the sweatpants, the everything, like something about it always looks a little goofy to the point where you might, I don't know, like maybe it just like doesn't look as like fluid as, maybe it looks to Quint like he's just like kind of like floundering around and making these like wild guessing saves just because he like doesn't like look the part. Like he's not like in this like crazy stance where it looks like he's on top of everything. Like that's the only thing but I did say that Liam Entenmann had such an incredible performance that I'm now, I've reevaluated my stance on goalies wearing sweatpants and I'm very much in on it. I was never, and I don't want to get too into this because it was a whole big ordeal before. I was never totally anti sweatpants on goalies. I just didn't like the sweatpant versus sweatpant matchup. I always thought just one of them has to be in sweats. But after watching what Liam Entenmann did in this game on Monday, I have a feeling that pretty much every youth goalie from here on out is going to be wearing sweatpants, wanting to be the next Liam Entenmann. So I'm going to imagine that there is just going to be a tsunami of sweatpant wearers in Cage this summer. So I'm all in on it because if I'm out on it, then it's going to be a long decade for me.
Every goalie should wear sweatpants. It probably it like will give you more saves. I truly believe that. And Dylan Ward wears them. Entenmann wears them. And in my opinion, we're talking right there. Right now, in this current May 29th, 2023, Liam Entenmann is a top 3 goalie in the world. College, PLL, worlds, doesn't matter. He's a top 3 goalie right now.
Can I just say something, though, about how every goalie should wear them? One, I agree with your assessment on that. I think that Entenmann is probably right there. I guess it goes Blaze, Dylan Ward, and then
Entenmann, and then I'd say Bernlohr or Kincannon.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a good
list.
The
only reason I put him above Bernlohr is just because Bernlohr's one down age and one down year he had, so like that might be a little bit recency bias. Bernlohr stud, so like I love that guy. He's the man. But like Kincannon, the only reason I have him above Kincannon is because I think Entenmann's better from outside. I think inside they're equally as good.
Yeah. Now, my only stance that I will keep on goalies not wearing sweatpants, I don't think if you are a team that 10-man rides, I don't think that you can have a goalie that wears sweatpants. You can't have the sweatpant guy out of the cage running around like that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. That image will be in my head forever. He had a 6-8. But yeah, that's what a weekend. I'm going up to Albany on like Thursday for training camp. So like we're right back in it. Like I said, you gotta play your best ball in May, Jordie. Notre Dame played their best ball in May.
They played phenomenal in May, and they were rewarded for it with a national championship. So first time in program history. Once again, congrats to Notre Dame, absolute wagoon. All right, you're heading up to Albany for training camp. You got people. I did get some people asking about how you're doing while I was at all the games. They want to know if you're going to bring a scooter with you to Albany. They want to see you ride the scooter down the hill at Albany. And then also before you answer that, I did get a couple people who wanted to know if you were able to work, you got to play your best ball in May. into the wedding at any point. So answer to both.
I didn't work in We Got to Play Your Best Ball in May in the speech, but I played my best ball in May. I crushed it. And I'd probably say one of my best performances is anybody that knows me knows that I'm a lax guy. We didn't become a top 100 lacrosse podcast by not watching Final Fours. And let's just say that I made it a point to everybody that I had to watch these two games. And later on the night when I reconvened and everybody knew I watched both games, I asked who won.
Who did?
Yeah. I was like, is Notre Dame, did they win? They're like, you like freaked out about them winning. And I was like, oh, all right.
You had a lot going on that day between that.
No, but I just thought it was very funny. Like my sister was like, you were like annoying to the fact that like you're like, I have to watch these games, and it was just like, all right, dude, just like go in the corner and watch the game, and like put on the TV for me. And then like after the games, I guess I went home, woke up from a nap, met up with everyone, and I was like, does anyone know who won those games? By the way, they're like, dude, you were an asshole all day about the games.
Just
relax.
Just Doogs yourself.
Yeah.
All right, and then the scooter. Are you going to be crushing around?
Yeah. I'm going to bring both because I'm a 5-tool player, so I'm gonna test both out. But yeah, I think that I'm gonna try to see. I'm gonna call the Amtrak to see what's gonna be easiest for me to travel on with one. But yeah, I'm hoping scooter because I think I can do more content with the scooter.
Love that. All right, yeah. So we're going to be rolling this right into the PLL season, so we're not going to be going anywhere. Do want to quickly though thank everyone for following along for the entire college season. It was a great year of college lax, real fun doing all this. But I think going into the PLL season is where it gets even more fun to do these podcasts. Some fewer teams that we have to talk about so we can get more into all of the games. We can cover everything instead of, just covering ACC, Big Ten, and Ivy League lacrosse. If we're being totally honest, we can talk gambling. Also way easier to, we'll be able to get guests over the summer, some PLL guys. It's just such a pain in the ass to deal with these college kids. And then you got to go through the SIDs and you got to figure out, who's actually allowed to come on and say what. So yeah, got a big summer coming up here, so make sure that you guys aren't going anywhere. Make sure that you continue to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at the Crease Dive on both. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Let's ramp up those subscription numbers on YouTube before the PLL season gets going. Follow us on TikTok at Still Crease Dive. Doogs, any more closing remarks before we cap off this 2023 college lacrosse season? And then once again, congrats also to Lenore Ryan, to Salisbury, to the Northwestern girls. Big championship weekend all over the board.
Yeah, thank you for following along all college lacrosse season. For everybody that is only college fans, give the pros a shot. It's very fun seeing these guys in the PLL. And again, me and Jordie have talked about it, but I'm more of a PLL guy at this point. I like the speed of the game. The talent level is the next level. It's very incomparable to college. So tune in this weekend in Albany. I'll be there, so come say hi. I'll be scooting around with Billy. No, not with Billy. He won't be there, but I'll be at the beer garden. So just come say hi. Thanks for checking out. And God, country, Notre Dame lacrosse.
And in the meantime, we'll be keeping it low to high until the day we die. We out.